Welcome to another episode. Today's episode, we're gonna be putting the fuel tank, fuel pump into the Dodge Challenger. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
I have the gas tank here. What I'm gonna do is install the sending unit, which comes together with the Holley fuel injection. I think it's a 355 liter per hour pump. Another thing that I did was I welded two of these vents shut here. And the reason I did that is because on the Challengers, you have these four vents from the gas tank, and that's mostly for emissions. What you have is here on the side, you have this piece mounted on there, which has the four lines. So pretty much you run these. Now these look different sizes really. These three look the same as the gas tank over there. This one's look bigger, but you run those four lines into four of these. They pretty much all go up different lengths. Some of them are a little bit shorter than others according to some diagrams I saw online. And then this is kind of open here on top, and then one of these is the highest one, and then that's where you would connect the vapor line that goes all the way into the engine for emissions. So I don't want to do all four. I'm just going to do the two out of the gas tank. I looked inside. Those are kind of the ones that were a little bit farther spread out, farther up. And then what I seen before, instead of these, some people, what they do is in that same spot, they'll get some tubing, kind of like brake line tubing or fuel line tubing, and just bend it, this high, and bend it back down, and then they can connect it to your emissions on the engine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run those two vents, tie them together, do like a Y into one, and then run like a rubber line, because those are gonna be right up there up front. Run a line, or maybe even a tube. I'll bend the tube, go up so it's higher than the filler neck, or about the same as the filler neck. Just if you overfill it, you also don't want it to spill fuel out of there. Run up and then bend it down and go back down, and then from there I can go back to the emission sports on the engine. So that's what I'm gonna do. I just welded those since the tank is out. I did order a new filler neck. I was gonna put some rust encapsulator or rust remover on this one, because the inside looks kind of crusty. I think this is maybe aluminum. I'll have to see if it's magnetic or not. But quite honestly, I was gonna buy like a gallon of that stuff, pour it in there, and let it sit, and then there's no way for me to get in there. I think it was like $75. I just ordered a new one. That way, for that amount of price, what if there's a bunch of junk and then later on it ends up in the gas tank plus plugs up my fuel sending unit? It's really not worth it for that price. So I can still install a gas tank, because this goes right through here from the filler right in there into the gas tank. So I guess technically I could probably put that in afterwards through the grommet, or I can just loosen the gas tank and kind of slide it in, because it's not here yet. Worst case scenario, I want to try to run the metal gas line that goes underneath the car all the way to the front, and the brake line that comes all the way back here. So I'll do that. If anything, you know, get the fuel pump ready in the tank, get it ready. I might not install it today, but just that way I don't want to put it on and have to take it out to put the filler neck on. But let me get the fuel pump from that box over there, open it up, and then see what I gotta do to install it in here. I have the fuel tank and the pump assembly here. So I installed this hydromat into there. You just have to push it on tightly. And part of installing this is I have to remove the sending unit here. So there's 2 screws. Remove this, that way I can install the pump. And then what you do is you put the float and then you bolt it on once everything's in there, and then finish putting it on. Just because the hole is not big enough for you to put the pump and then try to put the float in there. So I'm gonna remove these 2 screws to remove this, and then put it in the tank. Once it's in there, then you put your gasket. So this one, you put it through the top, you stretch the little rubber around the bulkhead here, and then you put the lock ring to lock it in place here. So this is pretty much what you do, is put the pump in. Once you get to this spot, you put in the float and then bolt it onto the rest of the pump assembly. And then we're gonna go ahead and finish putting that in here all the way. And now we just have to line up the clips, or not the clips, but the tabs. This might require both my hands, but you just line up the little tabs, and then we're gonna put that in there with the lock ring. I do have to put in the gasket underneath, so I'll put it in through the wire and then just put it over the metal round piece underneath. Once I got everything in there, put the lock ring and then twist it on. Use a brass punch, although there's no fuel or anything here. I did end up with 2 rings and 2 gaskets. So the gas tank came with its own. The Holley pump came with its own. I ended up using the gasket that came with the tank. It was slightly thinner, but it made for the lock ring to actually be able to get in there and twist on. With the Holley gasket, it's just thicker, and I mean, the pump was pretty much flush with this tab, so there's no way I could have put the ring and compress it enough. This pump is similar for a bunch of applications, so you have the list here. So I don't know if some tanks they do use this thicker gasket. This one for the Challenger, I just used the one that came with the tank because it was a little bit thinner. Same size, I mean the size and the lock ring is the same, just the thickness. But that would have made it almost, I think, impossible to really put that in there. So that's set up. So it comes with the harness, right? So this is ground, positive. So power, ground for the pump. It does have really nice instructions here with pictures to install it. Like I said, this pump is the same for all these vehicles, so that's why it's that's why I guess it's a little bit, or that's why the O-ring was incorrect. I do see Mopar A body, B body. I don't see E body in the listing, but in their website, it's, I mean, the tank, it's for that car. I did fit it, you know, the grooves fit on there. It looks like everything's in the right spot, so maybe that just hasn't been updated. Oh no, actually, I do read here CUDA or Challenger. So, but anyways, so the pump. So you have the black for ground, black chassis ground, vehicle gauge, the purple, and then the gray, which is the thickest wire here, it's power for the fuel pump. You do want to use a relay, and so I'll do that. It does come with the corresponding harness, or pigtail, I guess. That way the pump is just, you know, plug and play, and you just hook up everything. So I'm probably just gonna put this stuff here in another box, get rid of this box. I'm gonna start running the fuel line underneath the car, just see how I run that. I do have a grommet here for that filler neck. Which I believe is here, so I do have, you know, that tubing, which is gonna be for the fuel. This is the gasket for the filler neck to the trunk floor, or the seal. And then this one here is the grommet that goes right in here. So put it in here, and then that filler neck just goes in through there, keeps gas from coming out. So I'm gonna probably install this in here now, put like a rag so nothing goes in there in case I do put it back in the car. And then when the filler neck comes in, I'll just put some grease and it should slide right in. And it should give me enough play to slide it in a little bit farther and then pull it back out to bolt it onto the quarter panel there. So I'm gonna do that and then just start unfolding or twisting that fuel line that you saw there on the box to run it underneath the car. So I went ahead and run the fuel metal line down here. It's gonna be, I'm gonna pull it back out and run it through that hole which used to be for the torsion bars, and it's gonna run right here along this subframe connector right next to the frame here. I'm gonna bend it up slightly to go around the frame, or next to the frame, you know, to follow the contour. And then the fuel pump should be right in that area back there. I'm gonna just bend it and then connect it with the fuel injection hose with fuel injection clamps. And then I'm gonna secure this to the frame rail here with some screws. So that should keep it pretty good. Out of anything, the exhaust should be around this area here. I know it's hard to see here, I'm pretty right underneath the car, but the exhaust should be here, but this is going to be right against the frame rail, and so it should be far enough away. I'm thinking also of just buying a little bit bigger rubber hose, not like fuel hose that's expensive, but just something that's cheaper, that way I can just put over it. But it should be just fine. I mean, that's how factory, it's just a metal line. So I'm gonna get my tube bender just so I can get under here, start bending this a little bit after I put it through that hole. And then I do have some like rubber fasteners, hold downs, and I'll kind of bolt it to the frame as I go. And then up there on the engine base is going to be next to the engine, and I'll run a piece of hose. So I was able to flare that end over there, and I guess I can pull it out since I have to put it through that hole. But I made kind of like a flare. It's not really big, but it does stick out. So when I put the rubber hose in here, there's like a kind of like a shoulder for it. You know, I'll put the clamps here on this side. I'll probably put two. This is kind of the same as the fuel pump has, a little shoulder, and that'll keep it from, you know, the fuel hose slipping out easy. So hopefully that works. But honestly, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I'll run rubber hose all the way. I just thought metal would be easier to kind of run and have down here. You know, rubber line kind of tends to wear out over time. You know, it's easier for it to kind of get damaged. So we'll see how this works out. So I went ahead and seam sealed the trunk actually. So this is all completed, and then I put the gas tank. Now it's kind of sitting just there for now. If you see the fuel line, I still need to get the hold downs all around, but I bent it pretty good. This line is very solid, so when I bent it right there slightly, it wanted to kink, so I might cut it and then do another flare right over there. The fuel pump, it's pointing pretty far back, so I could just leave it straight. I don't really have to bend it out. So I left it a little bit longer, so if I do want to cut it, if not, I can kind of just do like a loop with the hose. So that's pretty much it. I haven't gone to the brake lines. I was just trying to run that line, but it's all the way underneath. It goes right over here. Like I said, I have to mount it. It goes through that hole right there into the engine bay, and then over here I put it up just right here on the driver's side, and same thing, I gotta just mount it right here. It's probably just gonna end here. I might, you know, since I have a longer piece here, I should be able to kind of bend the end on this one easier. So I may, we'll see, because I need to get the brake booster and master cylinder. If I'm able to tuck it back here, maybe a little bit closer to the back, I can just run it up in this corner, and then the fuel line can kind of just go on top of the booster. And I can bend it here at the bottom too, you know, no big deal, because it's a long piece. It's easier for me to tweak it. Or just leave it up here, and then I am gonna get an adapter that goes from this to a barb. And so that way I can just put rubber fuel line to the line here, and that'll be, as far as I figure out, that should be good, because that pump is made to work. It has a regulator inside of there for 60 pounds, which is what I need. So that should be pretty much it for the fuel kind of install. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Any questions, comments, leave them below. We'll see you in the next time for more Challenger content.